Ren from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and today we're going to be sharing 14 mature JRPGs for the Nintendo Switch. Let's check it out. Welcome back to a special episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game, where today we are diving straight past the Final Fantasies. We're going to zoom right on past the Pokemons, and we're going to be talking about the mature rated adult JRPGs that are available right now on the Nintendo Switch. Now, as we go through this list, if you know of a mature rated JRPG that is not on today's list, be sure to share it down in the comments, because I'm actually curious what ones I'm missing. Now, I know there's some that I've definitely missed, but these are just the ones that I own. So kind of a curious thing that I'm looking to get the community feedback on. Anyways, if you enjoy these kind of deep dives into the Nintendo Switch JRPG library, then definitely like and subscribe, and be sure to ring that notification bell so you're aware when I upload a video. Now, while the channel is always family friendly, and we're not going to be covering anything obviously too dirty in this, today's video does have games that range from pretty ultra violent to pretty heavy into the fan service territory. So if that is something that you're uncomfortable with, just be warned if you got kids or anything in the room. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on in. Now, the first two games on today's list are the Akiba's Trip series. These are absolutely bonkers. We have Akiba's Trip Hellbound and Debriefed, and also Akiba's Trip 2, Undead and Undressed. Now, these games are absolutely full of fan service. They're pretty wild. However, the first game in particular has some pretty raunchy jokes that are, admittedly, to my stupid sense of humor, absolutely hilarious. One of the funniest games I've ever played. However, the premise of this game is that there's vampires in the world, and in order to stop them, you have to expose them to sunlight by, you know, depantsing them and whatnot. Yes, it's as absurd as you can imagine. By no means a surprise that this game is mature rated. However, if this game is for you, it is absolutely stupid fun. Admittedly, the first game plays like legitimate trash, but it's so absurd, so funny that I still find myself enjoying it. However, if you are a gameplay stickler, the second one, Undead and Undressed, is way more enjoyable to play. But yeah, they're definitely kind of a mix of action beat-em-up RPGs where you're going to be targeting certain clothes on your vampire enemies, but you also got to protect yourself from being depantsed and exposed to sunlight and whatnot. Anyways, plot reasons, absolutely as absurd as it sounds, but it's good, stupid fun. Check it out. Now, the newest release that is on today's list is SMT V Vengeance. Now, for sticklers, the original SMT V is also mature rated, and if I had to guess, just gauging from other games that I thought were going to be mature rated that actually weren't, I think with most Persona and SMT games, it just comes down to some of the demons that you're able to recruit. There's a lot of phallical shaped demons. Sometimes they're not even shaped, they just are that, and there's a lot of booba demons. However, it's obviously never to the point where it goes beyond a mature rating, but you need to be aware of that. However, I'm by no means shy that the SMT and Persona series are some of my favorite JRPGs of all time, and SMT V Vengeance is proving to be validation of me putting the original on my top 10 favorite JRPGs of all time. It plays like a dream. It is the best mechanical turn-based combat in any JRPG ever. And for those of you who may say, nay, that is way too bold of a statement, I would say to you, prove me wrong. I mean, SMT V is the pinnacle of combat design in JRPGs. It is the zenith of amazing. I love it, and I can't recommend it to anyone who's just looking for a game to bask in, to just, I'm not gonna rush through this sucker, I just wanna live in this world, I just want to, you know, do everything there is to do and just mechanically play this game through and through. This is for you. I would say for someone like me who is heavily addicted to MMORPGs and games that just kind of sucked up a lot of time, SMT V is my comfort food game. Yes, it is difficult, but once you learn the ins and outs of the world, It is the most approachable SMT game there is, and SMT V Vengeance is shaping up to be one for the history books, mature rating or not. Now, keeping within the very dark and dire atmosphere of games, we have Undernaughts Labyrinth of Yomi. Longtime viewers of the channel will know how much I love this game. Now, this is a first-person dungeon crawler. It's a very dark, dire, heavy, very violent, kind of horrifying world that you're delving through. I can't get enough of this though. The designs of this, the character sprites, everything about this just lands on all cylinders for me. This is another game that, yes, while I'm very much allured by the world and the aesthetic of it, I mostly just find myself like these first-person dungeon crawlers are kind of like an ASMR to me, to where I never really realized how much I could gravitate and just kind of sink so much time into these. However, it is a very, very kind of spooky game, very much on edge, a very higher tension game, kind of like a SMT Strange Journey type oppressive feel. But yeah, absolutely. For anyone who's open to the first-person genre, I cannot recommend this game to you enough. It's totally a hidden gem in my book. Check it out. Now, moving on, I have another series for you, the Death End Request games. We have Death End Request 1 and Death End Request 2. Now, yes, these games absolutely have fan service. They definitely push the envelope there. But this is a very oppressive world that you're in, very high stakes, very intense feeling world. And that's kind of the theme for a lot of these. They are very much an oppressive, dark atmosphere game. And yeah, they're just loaded with fan service, and there's some horrifying things you're going to be fighting. Yeah, I love the aesthetic of these games. A lot of people can throw a lot of shade at Idea Factory and Compile a Heart. I'm not going to be doing that here. Look, I find their games enjoyable, especially the Death End Request games. I definitely think they're worth checking out. If you're open to kind of like a scary JRPG, these are going to be right up your alley. A very unique combat system with kind of like an open arena that you're going to be seeing in like maybe the Legend of Heroes type series, but also you have a lot of gameplay variants that they have in this. But yeah, I very much just find myself enjoying the characters and the story of this. It's a very intriguing story. I would say this is probably my favorite Compile Heart game story. If anybody's played these, let people know your thoughts down in the comments, because yeah, these can be hit or miss Compile Heart games with the fan base, but definitely mature rated and ones that I still think are worth checking out. To anybody who knows this game exists, there's no way you're surprised that it found its way into the mature rated category. We have 7 Pirates H. I'm not going to show a lot of footage of this game because I am deathly afraid of really ticking off YouTube. Now, the basic premise of this game is bigger Gazoombas equal bigger power, okay? Because math, okay? Physics. And let me tell you, there's a lot of physics in this game, if you know what I'm saying. Let me see if you can guess why this game is mature rated. Moving on. Now, actually, one game I was pretty surprised to find out is mature rated is Dark Souls. Action RPG colossus of the genre. This is one of the most celebrated video games of all time. It's definitely one of my favorite video games of all time, and arguably my favorite action RPG. I'll have to cover that someday. I think it has been dethroned, but yeah, this is one for the history books. And if I had to guess, I'm going to assume probably like Gwendolyn and a few other characters maybe push the adult fan service envelope a little too far, or maybe there's some kind of like, I honestly am not entirely sure why Dark Souls is mature rated. I don't even think there's heavy cussing or anything like that in it. So yeah, it's probably just for the violence if I had to guess. But yeah, Dark Souls, it is a classic, and it's one that I think probably covers a little too dark of topics of depression, if I had to guess, from a story aspect. I don't know, I'm kind of curious as to the thought process that went in to make Dark Souls mature rated. Next up, we have Persona 5 Royal. This is a phenomenal port to the Nintendo Switch. This is one of the most beloved JRPGs of all time. Now, in this, there are going to be some extremely touchy, very depressing topics that are covered, especially with the first boss area that you're going to be encountering. However, I think Persona 5 Royal handles these subjects very well, and I think a lot of times people, in an effort to constantly censor are not touching on topics that some people need to have expressed through art to be able to, you know, work through their feelings. Anyways, I think Persona 5 Royal does a lot of powerful things in its story, but also, again, being a part of the SMT Persona universe, there's going to be some personas, because personas and demons are often just the same thing in these games. A lot of them can be a little, you know, M-rated. So I'm curious as to what caused Persona 5 Royal to be M-rated, and considering that Persona 5 Strikers, which I'll go ahead and throw in here as well, I love that. That's one of my favorite action RPGs on the Switch. I 100%ed this game, and again, there's nothing really too dark about the story of Persona 5 Strikers, yet it's M-rated as well. And again, I think it probably just comes down to some of the edgier Persona designs that are in this. But yeah, both of these games are a phenomenal time. Persona 5 Royal can take you easily well over 100 hours. Turn-based classic, and Persona 5 Strikers is a quality, underrated action RPG that I think kind of got overlooked for just being too different from the rest of it. I hope we see more in the Strikers universe going forward. Now, continuing on with our list, we have Dead or School. This is a Metroidvania RPG style game that is phenomenal. I freaking love this game, and I recommend it to anyone I can. Now, I'm not entirely surprised that this is a mature rated game, because there is a lot of violence. While there is quite a bit of fan service, which you can just tell from the cover alone, there is a very dark and oppressive world and characters that kind of go through some pretty horrific events, but there is a lot of creepy zombies, a lot of violence that's in this game. If you are into like Diablo feel style games and you're really in the mood for a really addictive, fun Metroidvania, I think Dead or School is a quality niche and brings its own unique thing to the table. I really had a lot of fun with the weapons in this game. If you're really critical, it is a repetitive power progression system in the game where you're upgrading your weapons and searching for weapons, but still, I think this is a phenomenal time. And really, if someone's into Metroidvanias and wants something different, this is a must-play in my book. Now, I wanted to save SMT III Nocturne in particular for near the end of today's list. I know there's a lot of SMT and Persona on here. SMT III Nocturne is one of the most celebrated video games of all time. While it does have those dark and creepy and boundary-pushing demons that are in the game that probably earned it mature rating, I do believe that the story itself is extremely dark, dire, and engaging. I mean, there is a serial murderer in this game that wears his victims, just for starters. I mean, it's a very violent, very horrifying world that the Demi-Fiend finds himself in with the Vortex. However, while it is a very sparse story, if this game is for you, it will hook you like nothing else. This really kind of cemented my undying love for the SMT series. I believe currently, I think SMT 5, if I count SMT 5 Vengeance, SMT 5 will be the JRPG I've beaten the most. However, SMT III Nocturne still holds the record for the JRPG I have beaten the most. So take that for what you will. I think it's a phenomenal video game, and the balance still holds up to this day. And yeah, it's an excellent game to pick up for the Nintendo Switch, M-rated or not. Now, the final games on today's list is 2 games you can pick up, but you actually get 3. And that would be Mary Skelter 2, which has Mary Skelter 1, the ability to be able to download if you pick it up physically, and also Mary Skelter Finale. Yes, this is another Idea Factory Compile-A-Heart series. While I do love the story from Death End Request probably the most, I think from a gameplay perspective, the Mary Skelter series holds the potential to dethrone it as my favorite Compile-A-Heart series. But yeah, this is a first-person dungeon crawler, and it is a horrifying, excellently designed world that just is extremely enthralling. Very mechanically heavy game to where if you're somebody who really likes to get into the inner working combat systems, I think there's a lot of fun to be had here with managing kind of the blood Skelter meter of your party members to make sure they just don't absolutely go haywire. Anyways, this is one that I'm still getting into. very much an M-rated series. But again, if you're into first-person dungeon crawlers and you're looking for a series to just kind of dive in that I really don't think gets the respect it deserves, I would highly recommend the Mary Skelter series to you. As I'm getting into it, I'm having a lot of fun with this series, and I think that it's definitely worth checking out. And yeah, for first-person dungeon crawler fans and people who need a horror experience, this is where it's at. Mary Skelter. Has anyone played it? Let people know what you think of it down in the comments. And with that, those are 14 mature rated JRPGs that you can get right now for the Nintendo Switch. However, I'm extremely curious what ones are missing from this list. I'm kind of interested to see how many other mature rated JRPGs there even are. Please let me know if you have one that I don't. I'm curious, and if I pick it up, I'll be sure to let everyone know and shout you out in the comments. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe for more JRPG content for the Nintendo Switch. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.